This is episode 30.5 of Stay on Topic. And this week we're talking about our favorite subject. Well, maybe not ricotta's.
These are different.
Yeah. But he is the man that made the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs, Bob Ricotta.
Thanks for having me back. Feels good to be back from Betty Ford.
And see, the continuity is all filled in now. Nobody has to wonder.
And the guy to his left is James Post, the man who holds Vader's leash.
You know, it's one of those extend-a-leashes, so it's not that hard.
And I'm Chris Gill. I'm pretty much the Ponda Baba of Stay on Topic.
Wow. We're going right for the deep cuts.
Let them know what they're in for. Just to hit on a couple newsy type items, we might have a new tax plan.
Yeah, nobody really knows what's going to be in it. It's going to be written entirely in conference committee.
Yeah.
And entirely in ballpoint pen.
Yeah.
One thing I think that is in the Senate version that I don't think is going to make it through conference is the whole school loan tax deductibility.
Yeah.
That seems really, really harmful.
There are a lot of things that seem really harmful.
I think it was Mark Shields or somebody or David Brooks. So obviously, not somebody on the far right, but they were saying that this was a bill that was written for the rich. This was a bill that was written for the donor class.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know how it'll shake out with the much larger standard deduction. Between my wife and I, we pay thousands in student loan interest in a year. And that comes right off your tax liability under current law. So that'll be a painful loss unless there's something else that offsets it.
What really kills me, and it's this tax plan and the debate around it has really brought to light, is what these lawmakers think middle class is.
Yeah.
That's really, man, we are really dumb voters because we keep electing people that are just so far out of touch with our daily struggles and our daily needs. They do not struggle for anything. And this is such a reflection of that.
Well, and the term middle class has always been ideological. It means what you need it to mean in the current argument. And, depending on who's saying it, it means something entirely different.
Yeah. To me, the middle class has always meant the largest portion of the society financially. And where that cuts off is kind of a moving target.
Yeah.
From era to era, year to year. But what they think is middle class is astonishingly out of touch. And that's how they've engineered their tax plan. And it's kind of scary. So
from what I understand, the Senate was the last best chance of this not happening. There's going to be some wheeling and dealing in conference, but I think everyone agrees that the Republicans are going to pass a tax bill.
Well, it's the bill that comes out of conference still has to be passed. And the House and Senate bills were very different from each other. So this isn't a done deal by any means. But no, it's wheeling and dealing, even as far as, individual votes like, Susan Collins of Maine, who's, always one of those people who they're looking for a vote because she's a centrist Republican, and made a deal with her, apparently McConnell directly, to support a couple of bills that will help prop up payments to insurers under the Affordable Care Act, in exchange for her vote in favor of the tax plan. And there's been a lot of reporting over the last week that she kind of got rolled on that deal because Paul Ryan's already come out and said, well, I never agreed to that. We're not voting on those bills. So if
Well,
if this comes back in front of them and and she's feeling burned, who knows what happens.
another thing that could impact the bill that comes out of conference and whether it passes or not is what happens in Alabama on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at maybe one less Republican to vote on this bill.
Yeah, it's down to Roy Moore or the guy that is in every Guillermo del Toro movie, Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
This race is, from an outside point of view, has been fascinating because it really, it's very easy to say I would not vote for Roy Moore. I would not vote for a child molester. But then there's what I like to call meta morality. So what are the Republicans, especially the evangelicals in Alabama, left to do? I think we all agree that it's too late to form a coherent third-party write-in candidacy that's going to succeed.
Right.
So they're going to either vote for Moore, vote for the Democrat, or not vote. So what would they rather do? Vote for a sleazebag who represents them and their viewpoints and will vote for everything they want, or to vote for this guy they can't stand? I mean, he will vote against everything they want. He will vote. He's pro-choice. He is considered a liberal. So it's fascinating. And honestly, if I were in the same situation, I don't know what I would do.
I'd write in. I would write in somebody.
Well, you might as well not even show up then.
But when you show up and you write in or vote an alternative party, you're basically telling them the candidates you're giving me are unacceptable. And the more voters do that, that's how you change how elections are run. That's how you change the candidates that they run for these offices. I mean, it's not a wasted vote. It's basically a vote of no faith in either candidate. That's how I've always felt about it. And the more of those that happen, the more the system will have to react to that. But yeah, I don't know.
Am I correct in that if he's elected, the day he takes office, he's instantly under investigation?
Maybe not the day.
Oh, but but there's going to be an investigation shortly after he takes office.
I would think
that's what really has shaken my faith in fellow Americans and voters is they're treating the parties like their favorite sports teams. They're like, we're backing you all the way no matter what. Well, this guy probably dated and had sex with 14-year-olds. Yeah, but he's our guy that dated and had sex with 14-year-olds. That's the scary thing to me. It's not the fucking New York Yankees. I mean, these are people that are guiding the country. Use your fucking head. Stop treating it like it's...
Well, maybe they are. Maybe they're saying this pederast represents my values. He's going to vote pro-life. He's going to vote small government. He's going to vote for lesser taxes. He's going to get rid of Obamacare. He represents my values. He just happens to be a despicable human being.
But that same mentality was voting for Trump.
Right?
Those people
and that
were
worked
like,
out shittily.
You're going to represent my values. He represents no one's values.
Well, but in the case of Roy Moore, you can't leave out the distrust of the media and the number of people who just don't believe in those charges.
Yeah.
So, to a lot of conservative voters, evangelical or otherwise, that may not be a difficult choice.
True.
They may believe that this is entirely a setup designed to hurt their candidate, and they're not going to stand for it. They're gonna keep supporting the guy.
Yeah, because again, they treat it like it's a damn sports team instead of people who know how to run a country and people who represent the kind of people you want running the country and deciding your fate.
Well,
Blows my mind.
We've created an atmosphere where you can get your news entirely from outlets that represent what you already believe. And that's just human nature to, bolster their own beliefs by seeking out news outlets that will say, yeah, you're right about Obamacare and this and that. So we don't have an arbiter of truth. We don't have a Walter Cronkite to say this is the truth.
The best part of the show is that I don't have to edit it anymore.
Edit this, bitch. For those of you who are watching over the radio, I just flipped James off. So yeah.
I hope there's a large number of our audience watching over the radio.
Someday, live YouTube stream or live on Facebook.
God, no. I'd have to wear pants. It would just
throw off the whole thing.
It would. My timing, my impeccable comic timing that has become the linchpin of the show. Now I forgot. Okay, so Star Wars. I've forgotten what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, and lastly, the Russia investigation really kind of plateaued with the big revelations about Flynn. He's going to talk. God, I hope they have him in a secure facility. But since then, there have just been little leaks here and there that keep building a case against that administration.
Yeah.
But nothing directly to Trump.
And I think we predicted that back on episode 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It's going to be a stain on his presidency. But it's not going to be the thing that brings him down.
No, I don't get the sense that there's that here, the magic bullet, here it is. And even the worst they can do is impeach him. And it's not like he's going to resign in disgrace. It's not like anyone's going to talk him into resigning.
It's not like he'll say, this is the right thing for the country. This is the dignified thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the other thing that news more towards our mindset that keeps gaining a shitload of steam is this Disney buying up Fox's IP.
Yeah.
That really seems to be like a thing that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, and it's something I'm torn about because, there's the part of me, obviously, that wants to see Disney Marvel Studios in control of the Marvel IP that is currently held by Fox. But at the same time, I don't want Disney to control all IP.
Yeah, I know. It's double-edged sword.
To those who aren't aware, you do some internet research, you'll discover that Disney has been very central to how intellectual property has been handled in this country. And basically you'll find that every time Mickey Mouse was about to go into the public domain, the federal government extended the length of copyright.
Yeah.
This is a company that's always had a powerful pull with how those things are handled. And, as somebody who believes the public domain is a very important pool of content from which to make new things, the fact that it'll still be another 75 years or something before, classic Disney stuff becomes public domain, considering how much they profited from the public domain in their early years.
Yeah. With
the use of, these fairy tales that were not copywritten.
Yeah.
Copyrighted, rather. So, yeah, it's just so torn about that.
Well, I've kind of accepted that this is going to happen. So, quickly, how can Marvel seamlessly blend X-Men and Fantastic Four into the MCU? Exactly. Crickets. How can they do this and make it convincing without doing an Earth 2 type
or a Battle World kind of Secret Wars kind of thing.
Yeah.
They can't. They're going to have to keep them two separate universes, maybe with portals.
I think they could probably...
Boom tubes?
Wrong
okay.
company. They could probably blend in the Fantastic Four pretty easily.
I'm sure nobody's seen those.
Yeah, because nobody cares.
Yeah.
I mean, they could do the Illuminati, which would be pretty great if... For anybody that read the comics, the Illuminati is what led to the expulsion of the Hulk, which led to Planet Hulk, which led to World War Hulk. So that excites me. But yeah, I don't know how you... Now they've got a hot thing with Deadpool. And how you're going to... I don't know how they do that.
I just want to throw in something crazy that's come up this last week. And it's sort of on the opposite end of the sci-fi fantasy spectrum from what we're actually here to talk about, which is the rumor of a Quentin Tarantino hard R Star Trek.
Yeah, and he's not even writing the script. Like, he doesn't want to write it.
Yeah.
He just kind of wants to shepherd it, which is a really strange thing. So, that's not Trek. Like, the hard R doesn't scream Star Trek.
Nor does the franchise beg for a hard R like the X-Men franchise would be a...
That'd be a good hard R.
Right.
Well, obviously it worked in Logan.
And Deadpool.
Yeah. But no, I was surprised how well they managed to pull off a more sort of down to earth, I hate to use the word gritty, but
It's a thing.
the new Star Trek series on CBS streaming. There's actually a couple of F words in that series. It still feels like Star Trek to me as somebody who didn't like the Abrams movies. So I think it's possible as something coming from somebody who it seems like he just wants to see it as a laugh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
But I thought it was a joke when I saw it.
No, and like you said, so you get to slip in some swears and maybe see some boobs.
I'm in. I want to see William Shatner hang dong.
But the IP that really makes all of the money, Star Wars, the 9th full feature-length film, The Last Jedi, is going to drop this next weekend.
What's that about?
Thinking
I'm having trouble parsing that title.
We'll get to it. This is the third one in 3 years. And for those of us of a certain age, so all three of us, it's really tough to you have to think about it. It's like, holy shit, there are going to be 9 Star Wars movies when all we had were 3 for 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's tough to wrap your head around at times. But yeah, this is the largest IP in the world. No question about it. I don't even know what second place is, but it's very distant. It's the most lucrative. It's the most popular.
MCU's got to be getting close.
To Star Wars?
If you want to talk in terms of money and butts and seats and theaters.
I mean, you're talking 17 films versus 8.
Well, you're also talking all the merchandising that Star Wars does. Star Wars kills everybody in merchandising. Just slays them. But how did this... why is Star Wars so damn important to so many people? After, 30? No, 40 years it's been around. Why is it still so relevant?
I don't know.
You want a simple answer?
Thanks for tuning in.
Yep, that's the show, everybody. Thanks for playing.
Marketing and nostalgia.
Yeah, I'm with you on the nostalgia thing.
So, because of people I work with, because I have children of that certain age, I'm exposed to quite a few millennials, and these millennials, they're just nuts about the Harry Potter.
Mm.
They're 25, 26, 27 years old, and they're rereading Harry Potter, which is essentially a children's book.
Yeah.
Because it touches something back when they were 13 and they grew up with it, that's our Star Wars or your Star Wars, because I'm in a weird,
Yeah.
you know, what
You were shaving when the first Star Wars came into theaters.
no, but Jedi came out in 83.
Yep.
I was 17 at the time. I was,
Too cool for school. Yeah.
too old for Ewoks, definitely.
Yeah. Little bears. Yeah.
So I think nostalgia play, who didn't want to be, were you a Han or were you a Luke?
Oh, solely Luke. I wanted like the force powers and the lighty sword. And I whined a lot. But yeah, I'm at the perfect
And
age.
you're certainly built more that way.
Totally. Yeah. Not scruffy looking, but
You do rock a nice vest, though.
I can rock a nice vest. But not a tunic. So yeah, I'm at the perfect age because I saw the first A New Hope, as it's now known. It was just fucking Star Wars when I saw it in the theater. Actually, it was a drive-in, but the summer it came out, I saw it, and that was it. And it's just been a thing with me ever since, including the prequels, which much maligned by everyone. However, they certainly served a purpose.
Yeah, and this is something that the prequels can. What the first, the prequels came out in what, 98?
99.
99. And the last in 2005.
Correct.
And I think it's generally accepted that they're all terrible. And we can revisit which is maybe more or less terrible.
They all had equally cringe-worthy moments throughout.
Yes. But I think they did serve a purpose in that they sort of helped maintain the cultural currency of Star Wars in a way by their very badness. This is a trilogy of films where the last came out in 2005. And in 2011, a man named Mike Stacklasa was able to get over 100 million YouTube views with a more than 2-hour review of the first of the prequels, and went on to make even longer reviews of the other two films. And that awareness of the shittiness of the prequels and the self-awareness of it and the Jar Jar Binks jokes and the recuts to the fan recuts to remove Jar Jar, all that stuff stuck around long after the movies were out of theaters.
Oh yeah.
And it kept it relevant in a way that if they had been serviceable but not great, I don't think would have happened.
Yeah, and I think they've kind of been given, not a pass, but acknowledgement by the current filmmakers with Force Awakens and Rogue One, each of which have acknowledged, yep, the prequels happened, we're rolling it into canon, but they don't make them the highlights or plot points of anything.
Yeah.
And I think they've done a really good job of, okay, here's how to acknowledge them, but not dwell on them.
I think you're right that the prequels kept Star Wars alive in the minds of geeks and people like us. I don't think it's why they've exploded into a cultural icon that they've become. And I just think that's the whole phenomenon of the counterculture becoming the culture. Like when advertising took over the hippie movement and the hip hop movement and every counterculture movement that's, been around. I don't know why, but all of a sudden nerds became cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this was Madison Avenue's way of making more money off of something that already made a ton of money on merchandising. I'd love to know the point in history where all of a sudden collecting comic books and watching Star Trek and Star Wars became an okay. Not we're not getting beat up at lunch anymore. We're the cool kids because we know what Black Panther's real name is and what James Kirk's middle name is. But this is Star Wars is an extension of that, the nerdification of pop culture.
And what it's proven is everybody loved this shit. Not everyone was ready and willing to admit it. But once it became a pop thing, now you see like all those dudes that would give you a swirly for wearing a Star Wars shirt, they're right there on opening night too. Because everybody loves this shit, and now there's this like freedom to just admit it without shame.
Well, it's just a classic tale being retold.
Oh yeah, I mean everything's derivative of something,
right?
And but Star Wars did it in such a much more dynamic way on screen than anything that had come before it. Like before Star Wars, Flash Gordon was the ultimate space experience on the big screen. Sad as not the remake, but the old serials. Like that's as good as it got. And then Star Wars came along and like, holy shit, nobody had ever seen anything like it. The score mostly made those movies. And then you had a flick like Empire that said, hey, we can be serious with this shit too. And so on and so forth. But yeah, there were some good things that the prequels did. It's just such a shame that...
Name them. We'll wait.
I actually did like it was convoluted, but how they got to the Clone Wars, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed seeing a shitload of Jedi on screen at once. That was fucking cool. Darth Maul. Badass. Probably the most badass character.
Underused.
Yeah.
And cut in two. Yeah, I mean, that was a Sith Lord. Oh, really? We're done with him? I thought he was going to be around a while. Yeah, and even like Anakin's look in Revenge of the Sith, the look, they nailed it. I mean, he looked fucking badass before he got lavaed and chopped up. So those movies did some really cool things, and they're just kind of got rolled over by all the ridiculousness of Lucas off the leash.
Well, but fundamentally, they never knew what story they were trying to tell.
No.
Because they decided to tell the backstory of Darth Vader, but didn't seem to know what they wanted it to be. And there's several points where they seem desperate to establish that Anakin is still a good guy when it's clear he's not. Because they're still trying to live up to the 35 seconds in A New Hope where Obi-Wan talks about what Anakin was like.
Yeah.
None of that's ever really seen in the prequels. None of that great friendship that they supposedly had. That's the failing of those movies, is that they try to tell the story of Anakin Skywalker, the story of Darth Vader, and they don't do it very well.
Well, a lot of that was...
You can break it down as much as you want to. Fundamentally, they failed to tell the story they set out to tell.
There was just a total lack of chemistry with anyone Hayden Christensen came in contact with in those movies. Like, there was no chemistry between him and Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
You didn't buy them as friends or teacher-student. I mean, McGregor did the best he could with what he was given. And Christensen, I think, was a victim of just bad directing, because if you see him in the non-Star Wars movies he's done, he is really goddamn good.
Yeah.
Shattered Glass, Life as a House. I mean, he is really good in those movies.
But there's the scene in episode 2 with the two of them in the elevator talking about their adventures, talking about that time we fell into the nest of Gundarks.
Yes.
And it's like, that should have been episode 2.
Right.
Was all of those adventures before he turned bad. And they failed to tell that part of the story entirely.
Because they were trying to drive that relationship with Padme.
Yeah.
Which...
and this
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be crass, but you don't need that much screen time to establish young man wants to fuck really hot chick.
Right. And a princess.
You could do that in like half of an act.
Yeah.
And my point kind of dovetails with both of your points. Is what made the third movie so bad is that I never once for a minute bought his reason for turning over to the dark side.
No. Nope.
And number one, the fact that the bad guys, the guys on the dark side, also called it the dark side. They really need a PR or marketing team,
Yeah, it's the same with like the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants or
I mean, just
the Injustice League.
But that's a problem. That's a problem with the mythology in general. The idea is that the evil people see themselves as serving evil. I mean, that was established. That was established in Return of the Jedi. That was established in Empire. Vader sees himself as evil and evil as being good. It's like no one lives their life that way. No one doesn't see themselves as the hero.
Right.
Yeah, a better storyline I think would have been here was this essentially half orphan boy on Tatooine who's just an angry kid, and the dark side offers him power beyond what he can possibly fathom. And he betrays maybe Padme after he knocked her up or something. That probably should have been the path. Like an angry kid seeking power, because he felt so powerless as a child. That to me would have been a much more convincing arc than, well, I'm doing it to save my wife who I think is going to die because I have bad dreams.
Yeah. No.
So
none of that character arc works.
No.
That's just, we don't need to retell the failings of.
Yeah. But I really like how they've, again, acknowledged it in Force Awakens and kind of give a big fuck you to it with the blowing up of the Senate.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Spoilers. And also in Rogue One, how they got Jimmy Smits involved in it. That was really cleverly done. Perfectly placed.
Okay, so there are 8 movies in the Star Wars universe.
Soon to be 9.
Soon to be, but we can only speak of like 8 right now.
Yeah.
Of the 8, can we agree that 4 are bad?
Yeah, you probably could.
I guess it all depends on where you fall on
Return of the Jedi,
right.
skates on
it's
nostalgia.
half a good movie.
Yeah, there's some good spots.
I don't think the bad things in Jedi ruin the movie.
Ewoks come close, man. That's really hard to get through.
I'll bring it up. That plot to save Han from Jabba, talk about needing everything to go right.
Yeah.
They metagamed that pretty well just to have everybody in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I forget the guy that did the screenplay for Jedi, but I don't think he worked much after that.
Yeah. No,
okay, so three confirmed bad, 1
semi.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have 1 great. We'll agree Empire's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where do the other 3 fall?
Well, the first one you have to maybe rank above Empire just because of how fucking groundbreaking it was. I mean, Star Wars doesn't come along. What does come along, or what don't we see because that doesn't happen?
So it gets,
to me, that it is so earth moving in pop culture. I think it's got to be number 1. Empire is your go-to. That's the one you throw in the DVD player when you just need something to watch. Then I'd have to go Force Awakens.
You think Force Awakens is better than? I think Rogue One was damn good.
Rogue One is damn good. It's a little disjointed in parts because they did what's now becoming a trend with Disney, which is you're not doing exactly what we wanted. So
yeah, I can see the seams in Rogue One too much.
A little bit. It's still enjoyable as hell. A lot of cool things in it, but Force Awakens, even though it had problems, that movie had some problems narratively and how it was edited, but it's just a good time.
Yeah.
It is a fun watch.
So are Force Awakens and Rogue One great, or just really good?
Really good.
Yeah, I definitely don't feel like Rogue One is great.
So 8 movies, 1 great movie.
I see where you're going.
How many great movies have been in the Marvel franchise? At least 3?
Oh God. Let's go back to episode 29.5. James, play the clip. No clip. No, I see what you're saying.
See what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
As someone,
But are we judging these on different standards than we would judge other movies?
Probably. I don't know. To me, it's.
I mean, how many Adam Sandler movies is Rogue One better than?
4. Easy. Next.
How many of the Transformers movies is Rogue One better than?
Yeah, right. Good point.
How many of the Transformers movies is Jedi better than?
Yeah, I would watch any Star Wars movie over one of the Transformers movies.
Oh, okay. Over the Transformers movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And probably Sandler.
Yeah.
Just different fun. You know, if I'm going to doze on the couch,
Yeah.
I'll throw on Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I still like Happy Gilmore. I'm just making that like
Sure.
the output of Hollywood in general. Like if you were to present like a conglomerate average Hollywood movie, the only ones that fall below that average are the prequels.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Although Empire or not Empire, Jedi close to average.
You really think?
I think so.
Yeah. It's a tough.
I think
it's tough to sit through it now.
I think you had to be a certain age, and we all come at this from different perspectives because I was born in '79. I didn't see any of them in the theater when they first came out. And you talk about the importance of that nostalgia, of the memory of seeing them in the theater. I never did. When I was in high school, which was, I graduated in '97.
He's a baby.
Star Wars was still fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
I knew a girl in high school who fucked a guy because he had the Star Wars movies on Laserdisc.
Do you have her number?
Let's not go there.
You're that guy, aren't you?
But sadly, no. But none of us were old enough to have seen the movies when they originally came out.
Yeah.
The cultural cachet. Well, no, I'm saying none of us in my high school.
Gotcha.
group,
Okay.
It was all, we came to it from VHS.
Yeah, in movie channels or
And it still
cable.
had that same pull on us.
Yeah, and that's interesting.
I mean, Jake, my 25-year-old stepson, loves Star Wars. I don't know if he's still into it now, but when he was 9, 10, 11, 12, growing up, he hooked on and he loved it.
Yeah, and kind of back to James's point about the prequels, they hooked a lot of kids in that generation when they came out. I mean, there were a lot of kids whose minds got blown by watching the pod race scene in Phantom Menace or the lightsaber duel, the best lightsaber duel. Although the Rey Kylo Ren lightsaber duel was pretty cool in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Just because they were.
I don't want this to run 3.5 hours.
Oh no, we're still in the. I've been checking the time. We're still in acceptable limits.
I understand why people like the Darth Maul fight, but
little too choreographed.
Yeah, I'm stealing this line from the same Mike Stacklasa reviews. That the fight in A New Hope between
it's laughable now.
It's laughable if all you care about is pretty images on the screen. But there's emotional weight behind what's going on.
And that's why you
care
accept
about
it.
those characters.
But
there's no such weight behind any of the fights in the prequels, no matter how much better they look.
Well, Obi-Wan lost his mentor. I mean, that's pretty horrible.
But I didn't care about those characters. I didn't care about Qui-Gon Jinn.
Well, then let's put it on the table right now. Best lightsaber battle in any of the films.
Luke versus Vader in Empire.
Bob?
James has swayed me. I got to go with Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader in New Hope.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
When you watch it, this is the peril of retconning things. When you watch the end of Rogue One and then watch the lightsaber duel in New Hope,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it
sure.
fucking ruins it.
Yes, it does, because they did Darth Vader right,
Yeah,
but they couldn't do that in 1990 or 78.
76 is when they were filming. Yeah, so it's
But it's like how I hate we were discussing this last night playing Battlefront 2.
and drinking.
Yes.
Some of us heavily.
With the Yoda, the jumping and flipping around with
Mhm.
the lightsaber. And it's like never, ever watching the original trilogy pictured Yoda with a lightsaber.
No,
I never felt like, I don't care, I don't care who you are. I don't care how good you are with a lightsaber. And I don't care if Yoda doesn't have one. You're still in for a hell of a fight against Yoda.
yeah, because
I don't think you need to put a lightsaber in his hands for him to look threatening.
no.
Once you know what he's capable of.
When he can just think about squeezing your innards to liquid and make that a thing,
Yeah.
why would he need a lightsaber?
Or just throw shit at you. Or,
I don't know why more Jedis don't do that. It's like you would never have to turn on your lightsaber if you just crush their rib cages, which you totally could do with the Force.
yeah.
Why stop at choking? Let's go the full.
But,
But just to wrap up, the best lightsaber duel I think is probably Kylo Ren and Rey in Force Awakens, because you have an emotionally unstable Kylo Ren just thrashing around.
yeah.
Just raging out, and Rey, who really is not trained with this fucking weapon at all, just hacking and slashing, and there was a lot of emotional weight behind
Exactly. I really like that one.
That's
because
probably the
have,
best duel.
It doesn't have all that crazy choreography and
it.
doesn't need it.
They look like they're unstable,
Yeah.
which you really never saw in any other lightsaber duel. They went out of their way to choreograph them. As stunning as the Darth Maul lightsaber duel is to watch, it seems over choreographed.
Yeah.
Whereas Rey and Ren are just hacking each other. And that's
Yeah, well, and then that's like the duel in Empire. When there's the point where Luke has both hands on the hilt and he's just swinging over his shoulder like a baseball bat in a street fight.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't look anything. That's not fencing. That's not any kind of choreographed anything. That's just rage.
Rage and exhaustion.
It works well on the screen.
Yeah. Irvin Kershner, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably the best, I'd have to say the best flight sequence or space sequence, even though it didn't happen in space. Also from The Force Awakens, that Millennium Falcon chase through the wrecked out Star Destroyer. Some of the most thrilling shit in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's breathtaking to watch. Even the first time you saw it on the big screen, you couldn't take your eyes off it. And I've seen it, God, probably a dozen more times, and it's still fun. Your favorite vehicle-based battle?
And I still think you have to go with the attack on the Death Star in episode 4.
Uh,
Talk about
Hoth.
stakes.
Oh, yeah, the Battle of Hoth.
Yeah. I mean, just as impractical as the walkers are, they're just damn cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first time you see them and the little speeders zipping between their lips, it was a cool battle.
And to think they did it with models and overlays of film, that's pretty stunning. But the editing also in the trench battle is unreal. Like, again, another thing that you never saw that kind of editing before, with this big over-the-top score over it. Just really thrilling. Even still, even after they punched it up, fact, it may be a little better after they punched it up for the special edition with the extra X-wings, and
Yeah,
it looks
that's
cleaner.
that's one of the things that does work in the special edition.
And so is the Death Star explosion. Much better.
Yeah,
Much better.
I miss the old one though. I was so used to the old one.
It kind of
I'd
looked
seen
like
it so many times.
an overhead view of somebody dropping a plate on a floor. That's kind of rudimentary.
But one thing I wanted to get into, as far as the cultural value of Star Wars as a whole, is I don't think you can underrate accessibility and how easy it is to understand everything that's going on in this universe.
Despite it being so unlike anything that had come before it.
Yeah, but the good guys are good guys, and it's obvious. And the bad guys are bad guys, and it's obvious. The ships go places. They have a hyperdrive. We don't know how it works. They never put fuel in them. We don't care. It's the anti-Star Trek in that sense.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
It's sci-fantasy.
Right.
It's soft sci-fi. It's not hard sci-fi.
Right.
And there
Are
there
those
is
actual terms?
yeah.
Okay.
If you want to go read like hard sci-fi literature, you'll read shit that's like
No.
based on actual calculations of orbital
Yeah.
trajectories, and that stuff exists. Star Trek honestly is nowhere near that. But there's a lot of breadth to the Star Wars universe. There's, a lot of different species, a lot of different characters, a lot of different plots sort of going on. If you want to, follow things all the way through and try and draw a narrative arc through everything. But nothing you have to dig that deep into to understand. You can if you want to. The stuff is out there.
It's certainly available.
But it's not necessary.
No.
If you go to something like Star Trek, where there was, will be whole episodes of the TV series that are about their dilithium crystals being out of alignment or whatever. And you have to understand how the engine works to get the stakes of the plot. Star Wars doesn't do any of that. Like I said, you have ships that go places, and we don't care how they work. We care that they get us to the next plot point.
Part of the charm, I think, especially that they're from the original three, and that they got back to with Force Awakens, and certainly in Rogue One, was just how lived in everything looked. That was not standard of sci-fi.
You call it lived in, I call it grimy.
Yeah.
It's very industrial feeling. Everything looks like, when Luke's climbing into his X-Wing, it looks like that X-Wing has seen some shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's all beat up. It's got, the scars on it.
Getting back to something that you said, when you said accessibility, I think part of the series' charm is you can watch it with your kids. And I'm not talking like teenagers. Like, you can watch it with a 9-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing offensive. It's something.
There's a guy getting his legs burned off, but
and the implied incest.
Yeah.
You can. I mean. Anywho, it's something you can pass on from generation. My son and I will never watch a ball game together. That's not how we bonded. But we could watch Star Wars, and I could pass on the love of, the wonder of the lightsaber the first time you see it when you're 9 years old, and that's the coolest thing in the world. I think that's why part of the reason why it survived. Maybe it's into its 3rd generation now.
Yeah. Yeah, as tough as that is to believe.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that I feel like Star Wars was better for not doing, which is, unlike so much science fiction, science fiction was created to project the problems of society into a different environment so that we could look at them differently. It was created for cultural commentary. There's no attempt at any kind of cultural commentary in Star Wars.
Phantom Menace was a real knock at the way politics work.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little bit.
It was a ham-fisted one,
but I mean, we're talking about a movie that came out in '77, the original.
Right.
There's no trace of Vietnam. There's no trace of Nixon. There's none of that's in there.
I think they do take a pretty firm stand that evil is bad.
Yes. But no, there's no attempt to make any sort of cultural criticism through this science fiction universe, which
makes it easily accessible to everybody.
Well, yeah, it protects it from being dated.
Yeah.
It also protects it from offending anyone.
Right.
It doesn't matter what side of politics you're on. You think you're the light side in Star Wars.
Yeah. And before we go too long, so we have The Last Jedi hitting theaters Thursday. We're recording this on a Sunday. What do we think we're going to get out of this? What do we want to get out of this? What are you looking forward to in the next installment of this new trilogy?
I am really hoping that they don't try to do the Empire Strikes Back of this new trilogy.
Yeah.
Because they already went so dark at the end of Force Awakens.
And Rogue One.
Well,
Rogue One was pretty heavy.
Yeah. I'm worried about this movie because so much of what I've seen in trailers is angry looking Luke Skywalker.
I've concerned Luke Skywalker from the things I extrapolated from the trailer. A forlorn.
And I feel like what I want after the ending of Force Awakens is for Rey to go find her Obi-Wan and be embraced in that way and see what the training looks like and have some sort of a break from, the death of Han Solo. We know the death of Princess Leia is coming.
Yeah.
And I'm just not seeing any sign of any of that lightness other than, fluffy little cute alien. And I feel like it needs to have it.
Well, yeah, I mean, coming off Force Awakens, which was really heavy on, especially in the first two acts, the gags by Flynn, the interplay with him and BB-8,
yeah,
all that. But you also had, oh my God, I can't believe Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill are back.
Yeah,
that was a big hook for Force Awakens that really isn't going to be there in The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
Bob, what do you want? What are you looking forward to? What do you think?
I'm hoping that this is the movie where we finally find out where the sixth soul stone is, or the sixth.
The great thing about this show,
you don't have to edit
don't have to edit it.
Edit this. Anyway, I want a 2 hour. I want something fun. I don't care. I'm not emotionally invested in this story. Entertain me. I have not watched The Force Awakens or Rogue One after the first time I saw it in the theaters. Just entertain me for 2 hours. If they could tie it into the MCU somehow, that'd be great.
Well,
oh God, post-credits scene.
Yes. Guardians versus Jedi. Make it happen.
You see the
Groot becomes a Sith Lord.
You see the Milano, and there's a half-destroyed TIE fighter going by.
Well, the Milano got destroyed.
Well, you know what I mean.
I think they prefer to be called quadroons.
Yeah, this is going to be Rian Johnson's foray into it, and Disney liked him enough to give him his own Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah.
after they wrap this.
Which is...
So Ryan Johnson did something they like. And knowing Disney, and they've shit-canned 3 directors on Star Wars projects so far. Well, technically 4. 3 directing teams.
Yeah.
So they are extraordinarily picky. So I have enough faith in Kathleen Kennedy and everyone. Abrams is a EP on that too. That they know what they're doing with this. Yeah, Ryan Johnson can be pretty heavy, but he is an exceptional world builder. And you give him a world that's already there for him, I want to see what this guy can do with that world. I'm really hoping that they strike a balance with The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Even though I'm pretty sure you and I are of the same mindset about where they're going with it. The gray.
Yeah.
That's where I think they're going to go with this, which would be a real shame. But it depends how they do it. But Ryan Johnson's doing something they like because they were like, you know what? You get 3 more of these things. So that says a lot to me that, okay, The Last Jedi is going to be a good movie.
And I think it can be a good movie no matter where it goes tonally. I think to fit well as part of a trilogy... See, I'm conflicted structurally about Force Awakens because I really love that movie.
It's a good time.
But it didn't need to be so dark as the first of a trilogy. There's nothing set up there's no requirement in continuity that we're starting off somehow as underdogs again.
Yeah, that bothered me throughout the whole movie. It's like, how are you guys underdogs again? How did you fuck it up?
How did you end up
That would have been a great movie.
Yeah, right.
How did you end up as underdogs to the remnant of what was left of the Empire after you completely kicked their asses?
Yeah.
And so they did their Empire Strikes Back first.
In a sense, yeah.
So you need a tonal shift structurally to make this trilogy work.
Like a musical?
And, I can see them going lighter in a second movie and then going back dark for a third one.
Oh, no, they're going back to Abrams for the third one. So for episode 9, that's going to be J.J. Abrams again. And you know how he does things.
Yeah.
So you kind of get a sense of where this trilogy is going to wind up.
And
tonally.
Where does the Han Solo movie fit? That's like Rogue One?
That's going to be December 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's totally out of...
Okay.
It's not in this timeline.
And that... I'm really looking forward to see what Ron Howard does with that.
Yeah.
I just want a narrator.
I'm not going to bring a Wookiee with me. He did bring the Wookiee with him.
But no, I guess what I don't want to see is them figuring out where they can find the low point after the end of Force Awakens. Like, we've got to bring this down to because that would be the normal trilogy structures, the low point in the second film.
Well,
how can we make things worse?
They didn't do a lot with Luke in Force Awakens. So pretty much The Last Jedi, we're going to spend a lot of time getting caught up with Luke and what, how he fucked up with the Knights of Ren and shit.
Yeah.
So, we know that's coming. The Book of Wills is clearly there. So we're going to...
Is this stuff I should know, or is this
Nope.
extended universe
This
stuff?
is extended universe shit that they're trying to blend into the main...
Okay.
Well, the Book of Wills is, not really... I mean, it predates the creation of the original film.
Yeah.
It was part of the original scripting.
Right. So, I have a feeling they're going to do a deep dive into Jedi type stuff, which is perfect for Ryan Johnson.
Yeah.
That's his wheelhouse. That's where he really can get things done. And then he can base all the action off of that. So That's what I'm really looking forward to in Last Jedi. And the Han Solo movie, just really looking forward to those voiceovers. It's like I cannot lose the Millennium Falcon with this hand. He did lose the Millennium Falcon with that hand.
I think you're a little caught up.
We can do a whole podcast on just Ron Howard voiceovers for Star Wars.
But that'll be another day.
You didn't know he was your father? He did know he was his father. All right. Anything else to wrap up, fellas?
I think we've gone on about as long as we can.
Yeah. James Post, where can you be reached on the internets?
At PostJam9.
Bob?
At Bob Ricotta.
And I'm at Giltastrophe. Let us know what you want out of The Last Jedi, what you like about Star Wars, what you hate about it, what you hate about us. You can also email us.
Don't tell us what you hate about us.
Oh, please.
Oh, please tell us something.
Yeah. No one emails, so just hit us up on Twitter. But we do have an account. It's stayontopic111@gmail if you are so inclined. James, play us out.
Fuck you.